Hi, I'm Mary Beth Lynn, your systems and delegation coach, and I love getting to help travel advisors go from overwhelmed to being in control CEOs. I have a bunch of free resources for you as you go through Prep for Wave Week. You can scan the QR code or text the number below. I want to send you a couple really awesome things that are going to help you not be overwhelmed when the wave hits.
Running a travel business can be overwhelming, but imagine if there was a single tool that helped you look professional, stay organized, was easy to use, and affordable. That's just what Travefy does. Travefy gives you the essential tools you need to look like a travel biz pro. Travefy is the most trusted system used by over 30,000 travel brands worldwide. So get started with a system that helps you get back to the joy of planning travel and run your travel business like a pro with Travefy.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to day one of Prep for Wave Week. It is the fifth annual Prep for Wave Week, and I am so excited to have you here today. This might be your first presentation, so super welcome to Prep for Wave Week. If my face or my voice is new to you, I am Rita M. Perez. I'm actually the host of this event all week long, so you'll be seeing a lot of me. Hopefully that's a good thing you'll find at the end. I am also the host of the Strategic Travel Entrepreneur podcast. So if you want to keep your learning going, every Friday I have a new podcast episode out for you that you can tune in on. Every day has a different theme. I kind of do that strategically because I don't want to overwhelm you in all the things. And I really want to make sure that we are focused on different areas of our business when you're thinking about planning and prepping for the new year and especially wave season. Some of you might be experiencing a wave season now, but that typically does start end of December, early January. So especially when we think about that, we've just gotten back from the holidays. I'm sure there are a lot of distractions that happen in your business, not only just getting over the holidays. If you have young kids, they're probably going back to school at this point, or at the point where wave season starts happening. How do you manage all the distractions of going back into everyday life? Plus, clients starting to call because they've just done the holidays with their families and now they want to plan their next trips. So, we're going to hopefully give you lots of strategies here in this session to help unburden you with all that bombardment because even just in regular everyday life, it's like a pew pew, something's happening. I am so excited to be co-hosting this with one of my friends, Lisa Crilley Mallis. She's the founder of Impactive Strategies. We've known each other, I think, 5 years now, and long overdue. She is a productivity specialist, and I know there's more to that. So take it away, Lisa, for the travel advisors who may not have met you already. How is it? How did you get into doing and specializing in productivity?
Absolutely. So I'm so excited to be here. And as we have said a couple times, Rita, it's like we need to do something together. We need to do something together. So I'm so excited that this is what it is.
Yes.
So I think probably the most important thing to know about like what I do is like why. Like
Mhm.
why is it that I'm doing this? And I strongly believe that business owners should be able to grow their businesses and still have a life.
Yeah.
And I have worked with business owners for over 10 years now, usually service-based business owners. And what I have found is they can get so pulled into the weeds and so pulled into the day-to-day that they will struggle with the guilt that can come from if I'm working in my business, then I'm not spending time with my family or spending time with myself or spending time um, doing things that I love,
Hmm.
or the reverse. If I'm,
Yeah.
taking a nap, I should be working. Or if I, cut out early, and early could be 7 o'clock at night or 9 o'clock at night or
Mhm.
whatever, I should be working in the business. And it shouldn't be that way. Like we shouldn't have
Right.
to choose between the two.
Right.
And so my job is just to help business owners figure out like how to get out of the weeds. And I do that by streamlining systems and helping them delegate better. And then they get back, typically clients get back early on when we work together about 10 hours a week.
Hmm.
And then that lets them have that time to breathe
Yeah.
which then lets them earn more because they have time to think. And then they can start to enjoy again the business that they built. Because when you're getting frustrated about, oh, you know how you can get when you're in your business, because I get there too. Like, oh, I can't believe like this thing. And you're like, but this is what I love.
Right.
So that's what I do. It's what I love to do. Um, and so I think that's probably even more important. Like, why did I get into like I could go into the whole backstory. I started out in education, I moved into my business, but really it's like why? Why do I do the thing that I do? And it's because
Mhm.
it's so discouraging to see
Yeah.
people struggling in both places.
Yeah, I think that's why a lot of people got into business. They're like, I don't want another job. But then you realize, oh, it's not just the thing that I want to do. I've also got to market and I've got to take care of my accounting and I've got to make sure my contracts are up to date and everything in between.
Right? You know, you hear that phrase of, oh, I'm wearing 10 hats or I'm doing, you know, all the things, but it's the truth.
Yeah,
Like we got into business because we're so great at a skill. And then you're like, oh my gosh, now I've got to run a business too.
yeah,
And there's so much more to it. And it's a lot and it's hard. And it doesn't have to be that way. And,
right.
you know, and so what I found is when I can help, like people will laugh, but I'll say, I help people who help more people.
I love that so
Right?
much.
And so when I can help someone in the travel industry figure out how to make their job easier, they then can help more people book great travel.
Yes.
And that's why I do what I do.
Yeah. I also like to say that it's peace that people are trying to go to and not necessarily freedom, because I guess you can have freedom in lots of different ways, but it's like that peace of mind.
Yeah.
Also, you kept saying a word, and I'm like, you know what? That sounds like a great secret word. You just kept saying weeds, and I'm like, that's an awesome random word. So that is the secret word for this presentation.
And so early. We did it already in the beginning. The
I
secret word's
know.
already at the beginning. The secret word is weeds.
Weeds. And I will say, travel advisors, at least a lot of the ones that I have already pre-recorded aren't so soon. So sorry, but also yay.
Is that sorry, not sorry?
Exactly. But at least you know what to look out for. Now, what are some of those things when you find that a lot of people are overwhelmed? I think it's kind of hard to self-identify that I might be overwhelmed. So what are people doing? What are people feeling that might not automatically get them to identify, oh boy, I might have a like systems and structure issue here.
So a lot of times these are the things that you'll experience or you'll feel. You'll start the day knowing that you have like your top three priorities. Like I hope you're starting the day with your top three priorities. Like these, Rita, these may be facts, not in evidence. I watch a lot of Law and Order, so these may be facts, not in evidence. But like you start your day and you're like, okay, these are the things I have to make sure I handle today. And then you get to the end of the day and you're like, huh, these are still the three things I need to make sure that I handle today.
Yep.
You're like, yeah, those did not happen.
Yeah.
Or like you're answering, like you're getting a lot of client questions coming in and they're coming in on email and you're realizing, you know what, it's the similar question and I'm answering it
Mhm.
all the time
Okay.
individually.
I like that one.
Because I'm not slowing down enough to think about the fact that there's an easier way to do this because
Mm-hmm.
I'm reactive. I'm reactive. I'm reactive. I'm reactive all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you're knowing, okay, yeah, I'm a little overwhelmed because I'm just constantly in reactive mode.
Ooh, I like that one.
Hmm. You know, I think another way to know that you're like in that overwhelmed, reactive mode is you're saying things when things slow down. You own your own business. Do you want things to slow down? No, right? Like you want to be able to handle easily what's happening right now. You don't necessarily want things to slow down. And so like those are like that's how I typically know, yeah, clients are
Okay.
overwhelmed. They're feeling like, ooh, I've got a lot on my plate. And I'm in the weeds because the things that they're saying, I'll get to that when things slow down. Those are marketing,
Bing,
but
bing.
right. It's marketing. It's another product line. It's not doing the hands in the business.
Hmm.
It's how do I duplicate myself? How do I, because as a travel advisor, you if you're the only one booking and doing all the things, there's a capacity to how much money you can make
Hmm.
until you come up with a second income stream.
Yeah.
And until you have the time to think about your second income stream, then and that's the stuff that gets pushed because you're overwhelmed and you have a lot on your plate because you're in reactive mode.
Yeah. I love that you mentioned that too, because I was like, I know there's like certain ebbs and flows that just naturally happen in business. So there might be like slower periods, but it shouldn't be the expectation almost that in these slower periods, I'm gonna do X, Y, Z. They should already kind of be built in because one of the things that I think about is like, oh, when it gets closer to tax season is when I'll start doing all my books and everything. And I'm like, that's a little tough.
Right. Yeah,
A
sure. Go
little
ahead
hard.
and go ahead and do 11 and a half months worth of stuff in a weekend. Let
Yeah.
me know how that goes.
Yeah. For real. You also mentioned that constant reactionary mode, and I'm like, that I feel like was a big like exactly. Because if you're constantly like reacting to things, like you can't be proactive on things. You can't be just ahead of the game. You're always just trying to constantly get caught up. So what are some of the hidden costs? Because I feel like sometimes especially during wave season, travel advisors like, I just got to do the thing right now. What are
Right.
they losing from being in this constant reactionary mode?
So I think if you look at it, you're losing now and you're losing later. So meaning you're losing your, I don't want to say sanity because that's such a throwaway word right now, but you're losing your equilibrium maybe.
Hmm.
You're stressed out now
Hmm.
because you're reacting. And so your shoulders are up, your stomach's
Yeah.
upset, like you're in that heightened state. So you're losing that right now. Your work product may not be as stellar.
Hmm.
There could be mistakes in there. You're probably having to redo things because you're rushing, you're in a hurry. So that's what you're losing right now.
Hmm.
You're losing your even keel and the quality of your work
Hmm.
because you're in constant reaction. Then when you look future, what are you losing? You're losing growth. You're losing the
Hmm.
growth of your business. If that's what you want. And not everyone is looking to grow their business. But if
Yeah.
that's a thing that you're looking to do, because you're taking that whole wave season period
Hmm.
off.
Yeah.
And you know, marketing, what they say, whoever they are, the experts will say what you do now, you see results of in 90 days.
Hmm.
And so if you take off a period of time in marketing, you're going to see the effect of that 90 days down the
Hmm.
road. And so
Yeah.
whenever you're taking that time off, you there's a residual effect of that. So when you're in that constant reaction mode, you're losing now, you're losing later.
Hmm. I'm so glad you mentioned that 60 to 90 day rule. I'm not sure if rule is the exact, but
You know,
um I'm just like I
whatever.
don't want to be like so black and white, but that is like I've always heard that and I've always kind of stood by that the business that you have now is as a result of the past 60 or 90 days, which is part of why I like doing prep for Wave Week earlier in the fall so that you have the time to prepare and build the business now that you do want in Q1 of the new year.
Right. Absolutely. Because you're laying the foundation so that you're ready.
Right.
Because you can't lay the foundation in the middle of it.
Yeah. Yeah. How do you think travel advisors can really tell if they're losing more time that they might realize with some of these distractions and interruptions? I feel like distractions too in the travel advisor industry, if you might not be so busy, is like being on lots of supplier webinars instead of going to networking events. So that's just one example.
Yes. So it can be emails or phone calls or text messages, which do not have to be coming from clients or prospective
Right.
clients, right? It could be coming from kids, or it could be coming from friends, or it could be coming from anywhere. It could
Mhm.
also be those distractions, webinars, um, like you said, networking events, uh, your parents call, like this was a big thing because I've
Yeah.
always had my business from home. I was on Zoom before Zoom was cool. And my parents, hey, um, I know you're working, they would say, but
Mhm.
could you go do blah, blah, blah? And I'd be like, no, dude, I'm working. Like I
Yeah.
legitimately am working with clients all day.
Yes.
And so like those are all the distractions. So you may have heard the stat already, but there was a study done a number of years ago at University of California, Irvine. Every time you switch your focus
Mhm.
from what you're doing to something else, it will take you up to 23 minutes and 14 seconds to bring your focus back to
I
where you
believe that.
were if you're in the zone. So when you're concentrating and you're in the zone and you hear the ping of any notification on your phone, it's going to take you 23 minutes to get back every single time.
And that is why my phone is on silent.
Exactly. Exactly. So if you're, and so many people keep their email up all day
Uh-huh.
and then they see
Oh,
the notification, or, the person who has someone in their office who says, do you have just a minute? No, really, you're asking for 23 minutes. Like it's every time you divert your focus away from what you're doing,
mhm.
it's 23 minutes to help you get back to where you were.
Yes.
So when you ask me, like, how do you know if you're losing more time than you realize? Well, right now, it's every time you pull away from what you're doing,
Mhm.
it's an extra 23 minutes to get back to what you were.
Wow.
I mean, so just baseline is there,
Mhm.
but it's also like we talked about your top three priorities. It's not getting to those. That's
Mhm.
taking more time. It's not being like efficient with how you're answering email, like the fact that we were talking about emails earlier, not having them taking the time to think, oh, wait a minute, I answer the same email all the time. I could have a template or an
Yeah.
FAQ page.
Yeah.
Or it's oh, look, I didn't scroll all the way down in my inbox and there's a bunch of grenades in there because I thought I answered that, but really what happened was I read it on my phone and I didn't respond, even though I thought I did.
Would
Or
you
you are at the end of the day and you have 10 open web browsers and 14 sticky notes and 5 emails in your draft folder. And those are all tasks that I can see this is resonating with you, Rita.
like you're calling
But
me
these,
out?
you're like, have you been watching me? But like these were all tasks that were started and not finished. And every single one of those represents 20 minutes.
That's
And so like,
crazy.
right, I know, I know. Um, and so like, and these things, like as I'm like sharing all these examples with you, like these aren't random. Like these are
Mhm.
all when I work with business owners, we talk about time thieves. And so time thieves, in my experience, there are 11 different time thieves that just steal little bits of time from business owners all day long.
Mhm.
Distractions is one, And all of these start out as distractions, and then there's something underlying every one of them.
Hmm.
And that's what you need to be able to find so that you can, once you identify it, then you can figure out how to solve it. And
Right.
we'll drop the link at the end of this podcast because I have a time thief audit, which will make it really easy to figure out what your time thieves are. Um,
Okay.
but like that's, you want to know what they are because they all can be a culprit, which is depressing. To be, sorry.
No, I'm like, you you were talking and I wrote down, I feel like it's not necessarily removing distractions, but a little more being proactive and using systems in certain situations. Because I mean, if your child comes up to you and they need a drink of water, like there's nothing that you can well, maybe if you had like a nanny, that might kind of avoid that from happening. But I feel like the email, if you had a templated email, like you were saying, or if you had like a frequently asked questions page and people can refer to that instead of sending you emails. So can we touch on kind of like that a little bit about
Mhm.
how can people be a little bit more proactive to kind of like dwindle down the list of distractions that might be coming?
Yeah. And I think that's exactly what you do is you start to think about, okay, what are those things that pull me away
Hmm.
from those three high value activities that I need to get to every day? So if we go back to like that list I just threw out there at you, and you think about, okay, the kids, like you just said, the kids come in. Okay, well,
Hmm.
depending on their age is depending on the structure you can put around it. I have a client who the rule is broken or bleeding. If it's not broken or bleeding, you do not come in my office.
I love it.
And that is the rule. And then it's anything else that comes, that comes up, we're going to talk about it when we are making dinner.
Hmm.
And so if they knock on the door, she just slips a thing underneath the door that says broken or bleeding question mark. And it takes a while to get there. You teach people how to treat you and you can retrain them anytime.
Yes.
So and so you just have to think about, are your kids old enough for that to work or not?
Hmm.
Like there's all sorts of things and you can Google there's a zillion examples of how to help with small kids. So that's one thing. Another one, can you be proactive with the distractions around managing email? It's so easy to do a template in
Yeah.
your inbox. Like, here are the top 3 questions that I get. And if you can't even think about it now, uh 2 weeks, you'll be like, oh, okay, let me just go back to what I sent. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, here they all are. Bam. Now I can do a quick step or um something in my inbox and just copy paste, out it goes.
Yeah.
Here's an FAQ doc. So I think you just start thinking through,
Hmm.
like, what are some of those? Just, I mean, in general, if we start thinking those, you know what I mean? Like those
Okay.
examples, but it's about being proactive versus reactive. You've got to flip the switch.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's almost, I feel like people should take maybe like 10 minutes to do almost a brain dump of what the potential distractions are and what the potential solutions can be. And it's like, could one solution kind of knock out a couple of distractions?
Hmm.
What are
Yeah.
some other exercises here? I always think like brain dump because I feel like for I would probably call myself a little neurospicy. I've never been diagnosed, but I highly suspect I might have ADHD or something like it. So that's
So,
the easiest way.
so I brain dump, absolutely. So I love a brain dump. I love a good brain dump. Also, I like to go back through my sent email because that'll help me recreate what happened
Ooh,
during the
yeah.
day.
Hmm.
Also, I'll look at my calendar. What were all my appointments for the day? That'll help me recreate. I also keep a small whiteboard that's right here now between
Yeah.
the screen and my um, keyboard. And that's where I'll keep short-term notes.
Okay.
That'll help me recreate the day. I use a project management system. And so I'll look back at my tasks That'll help me recreate the day. And so that's where I can grab, and it won't necessarily so much as what I did, but it'll help me remember what was I working on when
Mm-hmm.
I had to stop.
Okay.
And that helps me then. An acronym I'll use is AWE,
Okay.
awareness, work, evaluation. So the awareness piece is what's the real challenge? Like, what are
Okay.
the things that are pulling me away from what I'm doing? Let's not go surface. Let's get a little bit deeper. So, you know, the kid, the kid came in the room. Okay, get a little bit deeper. Why? Were they bored? Probably.
Mm-hmm.
Or were they really broke? Was it really broken and bleeding? Okay, that's a whole different solution. Let's figure out what it really is. Then work is what's our solution to that. And it has to be easy. Figure out the structure. Then evaluation is like when you fix the problem, did you create a whole new one along the way, or is it actually working?
That sounds like medicine.
Right? And then you just keep going around and around in circles.
I know that there's so many travel advisors that want to be using a project management tool, but trying to implement is probably the hardest part. Like, even for myself, I usually like to say start with one project and start putting in to-do lists, seeing how that works for you, and manipulate it whichever way that you want. So what are your kind of like best tips when it comes to that for somebody that is wanting to use a piece of technology to kind of, I like to say, eliminate brain space so
Mhm.
that you can kind of like live a little, like have that extra breath so that you're not like, oh, there's 50 things in my head now.
Yeah, so my rule of thumb is that you use your brain to think, not to remember.
Oh, that's
I know,
great.
right? Thank you. Thank you for
That's
recognizing my
great.
brilliance. Yeah, use your brain to think, not to remember. Your project management system can be an Excel spreadsheet. Like, you could
Mm,
just put your stuff down, drop some categories in, and put some due dates in so you can sort by due date. Like, it can be that simple.
hmm
We use Asana. I have been on the free version for probably 6 years, and it is plenty for us.
hmm
And I like that because I
Okay.
can see what my team is doing. I use it for personal, I use it for business, like, literally, our vacation stuff is in there as a family,
Nice.
everything
Interesting.
is in there. So when it goes offline, it is a vacation day for me because I have no idea what it is I'm supposed to do for the day. Like, and it doesn't go offline very often. It's only happened maybe twice in 6 years, but it's like change the water filter all the way to, like, check in on this client. Everything I have in there. And so, but back to your point, where did we start? We started with one project,
Yeah.
and then we added another one, and then we added another one.
That you've got me thinking because I've got a lot of stuff on my personal plate right now too, and I'm like, I could just add it all and click up and then just check mark it and be done with it.
Yeah, yeah. So, like, when you were talking about uh you're the president of your
Rotary.
volunteer, I wasn't sure if I could say that on on the podcast, president of the Rotary. So when I was president of a nonprofit, every single thing for that nonprofit was in there.
Yeah.
Everything. Everything
I
for all my clients is in there. Everything.
and I love that you put the difference because I think that's going to help a lot of people where your project management tool is where you remember things.
I
So,
There's too much going on, Rita. I can't keep
yeah.
it all straight. Ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
And
It's all in there.
And do you get a little fancy? Like, do you use any of these integrations like with Zapier where like you have an email but it goes into, or are you just simple,
So
you put the tasks and
it does. So Asana does easily integrate into Outlook, and I use Outlook.
okay.
There are a lot of other integrations that are built into that. I use that. It also integrates with my virtual assistants, meaning I'll be
Nice.
like, I need you to go in there and do this thing. So I don't do a ton of the tech. Like there's a lot of things that it will integrate with. I
Mhm.
just integrate it out of my email.
Okay.
And then ask my VAs to do other stuff with
Okay.
it.
So I feel like we can't have a conversation about productivity and kind of getting over being bombarded with a million things without also maybe just touching a little bit on AI and how AI can help with that. And I say this too because last night myself, I've been feeling a little bit like bombarded with a couple things, and I'm like, let's talk to our friend ChatGPT and see, like, can you make chaos or can you make some calm out of this chaos? And it helped me out with that. But what are some of your pointers, or how have you been dabbling in AI for this?
Oh my goodness. So is this a 6 hour interview? I can go down the rabbit hole, Rita, forever on this. Okay, let's see. What are some things that we're doing? I was just on a 2 hour webinar yesterday and I was like, can we keep going?
Uh-huh.
So I use a ton personally for marketing.
Okay.
So my client avatar is in there, all my things are in there. Uh,
Uh-huh.
and so when I write, I can run it through and do like on a scale of 1 to 10, how rank this, like how close is this to maxed out Molly is my ideal client. And and then it can give me feedback. And so it does not, I do my own writing, uh,
Mm-hmm.
but I use it as my thinking partner.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be like, give me some ideas. Like I want to write something about whatever. And it'll give me some ideas and then it'll help. Sometimes it'll help me draft. It just depends where I am. So I will use it a lot for my writing.
Mm-hmm.
We're using it to edit videos.
Mm-hmm.
This is not saving time. I will admit, I went down a rabbit hole this morning, but I used it to create the Impactive Strategies theme song this morning because I learned that yesterday and it was way cool.
That's
But now
awesome.
back to productivity. Um, we use it with clients to help them create processes for their
Okay.
business. I'll use it. I just had a client use it because they wanted to help onboard someone new into Asana and
Okay.
they didn't want to overwhelm them. And
Mm.
so they said, here are their tasks. What's going to be the easiest way to teach them how to use Asana?
That's amazing.
Right. And then I was on with a client yesterday who he's a lawyer and he uses an industry specific software. And we started to dig into it, trying to figure out if we could use that as a project management tool or not, because
Mhm.
it was or was not designed for that. We didn't really know.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait a minute, before we start, why are we doing this? And so I said, compare this and contrast to Asana, because that's the
Mhm.
one I know the best. And I said, we're gonna be able to figure, and it took 3 minutes and we could figure out
Mhm.
immediately. So I use it for that. I've used it and again, when we talk AI, typically I'm using ChatGPT. So I use
Yeah.
it for business planning. I have like my own board of directors. Recently, I have a couple nonprofit clients, and so I have some proposals out, and they got declined for funding, and they thought that they were sure they were getting their grants approved,
Wow.
and they didn't. And so um, I just learned yesterday how to create a agent and a scout. And so we're going to use that to look for new grants. So we're
Nice.
jumping on tomorrow to look for grants.
Nice.
And we have one to help look. So my VA tomorrow is also going to look for some RFPs.
Mhm.
That's hours and hours and hours of work. I have not yet used it for coding, but I have a client who's using it for coding.
Yeah.
So yeah, so the way that we are using it now is to save brain space.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm using a lot for marketing and writing.
Okay.
But when I'm using it with clients, it's a lot of how can we streamline this? So I will take a whole to-do list and drop it in and say, what can be automated, what can be delegated, what can be deleted.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll take the answers back and then look through them and
Okay.
decide what I want to take and what I want to
Yeah.
dump. Because, it hallucinates.
It does. It likes to be colorful, for lack of a better
Mhm.
word. I did want to touch a little bit on strategies for staying focused also, and like what seems to be working overall. Because I wrote down, I know some people do time blocking, Pomodoro is one of those, but I'm like, is there anything that kind of, I feel like those might work in theory sometimes and not in like actual practicality.
All right. So one of my philosophies, and this probably comes from my background in high school education, is that it has to fit you
Mm-hmm.
in your brain, in your learning style. So like you said, maybe I'm ADHD, maybe I'm not. So what works for me is not going to work for you and vice versa because our brains are completely different.
Mm-hmm.
What I have found that works for a lot of people is the idea of biological prime time, meaning you find the time of day that your energy and your attention is the highest
Mm-hmm.
and you maximize that time of day
Yeah.
with your toughest work, whatever
Mhm.
that may be for you.
Yeah.
So for me, that's writing. So I need so in my highest biological time times morning. So I
Okay.
don't schedule clients until after 10 a.m. Because if I can come in here at like from 6 to 9 and
Hmm.
just sit and write, that's the best for me. Because
Okay.
that's when I can focus the best. That's when I can. So that's now what that means. A lot of people will say, oh, it's morning because that's when no one bothers me. Not what I'm
Mm,
saying. You have to create a distraction free time
yep.
at the time of day that your brain and energy is the highest. As we come
Yep.
back to distractions, see how
Yeah.
I pulled it right back. But we want to make sure that if your best time is 2 o'clock in the afternoon,
Hmm.
then you need to create the structure so that at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, everything is quiet and you can focus on whatever it is that is most important for you to focus on.
Yeah.
So when you hear eat the frog or whatever it is, and there's like do it first thing in the morning, maybe not.
Hmm.
Maybe it's do it at 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
It's whatever works best for you. I spent 10 years in education. I work in 42-minute blocks. That is how my brain works because
Mm.
I have literally worked 42 minutes, 4 minutes off, 42. Like that is how I work.
I'm gonna have to test that or like do a
Like,
time study on myself.
yeah. And so you'll find when your brain starts, like, you'll find when is it that you start to flip to social media? Or when is it that you find that it starts to take you longer, or that you want to
Mhm.
procrastinate, or that you want to get up and walk around the house, or like whatever your
Mhm.
version is. And that's when you know, okay, these are my natural stopping points.
Right.
So is your Pomodoro.
Hmm.
That's my version.
Yeah. What are the next steps for somebody? Because I know we've talked a lot about distractions, kind of like combating the pew pew of everything that might be coming, also staying focused and using a couple different tools. So somebody might be a little overwhelmed with all the options. So what's the
I
next
know,
thing to do?
right?
The next right thing to do?
I think there's a lot of, like we talked about so many things. So I think one thing to think about is choose something that you can do now
Hmm.
that's going to make things easier for you now, whatever it is. Like we talked about a zillion things. So is the thing now to think about creating a template. Or is the thing now to brain dump and go through a list?
Mm-hmm.
And then think about a thing for future, because
Mm-hmm.
all of the things happening. So it's like, what are you going to do to safeguard your
Mm-hmm.
future so that you
Yeah.
can create future growth? Is it that you're going to have dedicate 2 hours every Friday for business strategy, or that you're
Mm-hmm.
going to block out 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock every day to work on marketing or whatever it is, so that when wave season comes, you're not letting the pew, 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 pew take you away from your business. So it's, what are you doing now? What are you doing in the future? But even outside of that, it's, what are your biggest time thieves? It's finding those out, which is to take the audit. Like, take the
Mm-hmm.
free audit. It's 11 questions. It'll take you less than 10 minutes. And it'll help you figure out, is it distractions? Is it procrastination? Is it that you're not super great, like, with your calendar? Like,
Mm-hmm.
what are the things? And then you'll be able to figure out from there where to go.
Awesome. And that is what we're going to have linked below, is access to get that audit and start making like your action plan for the new year, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, Lisa, thank you so much for being here and sharing. This was fun. And I think this is going to have to be like our new thing, the pew, 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 pew.
You do that way better than I do.
I think of like Star Wars, like pew, pew, pew. But this was a lot of fun. If people wanted to reach out to you, connect with you, where's the best place to do that?
I would probably right off the website,
Okay.
impactivestrategies.com, because it'll have all the contact info. So then they can just choose their best way, like whatever they want. Emails there, all the socials are there, everything's there.
Perfect. Awesome. And we're going to go and make sure that the audit is also in the swag bag. So if you haven't checked out the swag bag, there's a lot of really cool things in there, including Lisa's audit. And then we also have our virtual trade show, which there's a lot of like juicy educational snippets in there too. So if you haven't checked that out, make sure you have access to a ton of goodies being here as part of Prep for Wave Week. So thank you, travel advisor or travel professional, for being here, tuning in, and a huge thank you to you, Lisa, as well.
Oh, thank you. This was so much fun.
Yes, likewise. I'm just beaming here. All right, everybody. We'll see you on the next one. Bye.